All right, let me get my glasses. Pull up a chair. We're going to read 1, 2, just 2.5 pages, 3 pages. The Wait, the band, released August 1968. In the late summer of 1965, Bob Dylan needed a backup band. He was planning a national electric tour following his controversial appearance on electric guitar at the Newport Folk Festival. So this was, I guess, one of the most controversial tours in history, which kind of seems ridiculous now, but he was booed off stage. Everywhere that he went, I'm not reading anymore, you can probably tell. Famously being called Judas at the Manchester Royal Albert Hall, often confused for the London Royal Albert Hall. Once again, the South gets all the credit. After hearing the Hawks perform in Toronto, Dylan asked members Levon Helm and Robbie Robertson to join his band, but they balked, B-A-L-K-E-D, they balked. I think some words only work well in an American accent, and I ain't gonna do one. Insisting that their entire group be hired, Dylan gave in. But after his tour, in July 1966, Dylan was seriously injured in a motorcycle accident near Woodstock, New York, which forced him to take time off to heal. Dylan rented a house painted salmon pink, where the Hawks rehearsed with him in the basement. This was that house was in the Woodstock area. The result was a series of personal recordings that Dylan would release in 1975 as the Basement Tapes. By late 1967, Dylan's backup ensemble decided to go out on their own as a band. Original songs were written, including The Wait, the enigmatic song about a traveller, the characters he meets, and the burdens they lay on him, first appeared on the group's 1968 album, Music from the Big Pink. Released in August 1968, The Wait only reached number 63 on the Billboard's pop charts. Nevertheless, the folk rock journey song with biblical overtones was covered by dozens of artists, including Aretha Franklin, Jackie DeShannon, and the Staple Singers. I referenced the Staple Singers in the video. And the Grateful Dead, ushering in the roots rock movement. So this is all from Robbie Robertson from here on in. And he was the guitarist, singer and songwriter in the band. I wrote The Wait in late 1967 at a house I was renting in Woodstock. All of us in the band had been living up there while playing with Bob Dylan and recording what would become the Basement Tapes. We played at a house in nearby West Socrates, I believe that's how you pronounce it, let me know if I'm wrong, that we called Big Pink. Prior to moving to Woodstock, I lived at the Chelsea Hotel in New York. I pause upon that because I would have loved to have visited the Chelsea Hotel in New York in the 1960s. If I had a time machine, that's probably where I'd go. One day, poet Gregory Corso, who was staying there, urged me to check out the Gotham Book Mart on West 47th Street. The bookshop was a dusty, funky place owned by Fanny Steloff that sold used and new books. After looking around, I found that the store also stocked movie scripts. I loved film and had long wondered how plot elements in a film fit together. These scripts were like blueprints. The script that punched me between the eyes was Ingmar Bergman's screenplay for his 1957 movie, The Seventh Seal. Louis Buñuel's scripts for Nazarene, which examined the possibility of sainthood, also captivated me. Up in Woodstock in 1967, images from all these scripts were stirring around in my head. The band was just finishing up with Bob, and we'd already written enough material for an album that we would call Music from the Big Pink, but I wanted one more song as a fallback, just in case. Our drummer and singer, Levon Helm, had just returned after spending nearly 2 years away from the music business. I wanted to write a song that Levon could sing better than anyone in the world. One night in Woodstock, upstairs in my house, in a workspace next to my bedroom, I picked up my 1951 Martin D28 acoustic guitar to write a song. I turned the guitar around and looked in the sound hole. There I saw a label that said Nazareth, Pennsylvania, the town where Martin was based. For some reason, seeing the word Nazareth unlocked a lot of stuff in my head from Nazarene and those film scripts. Once I had written a few chords written, I sang Pulled into Nazareth, was feeling about half past dead. I didn't have any grand story planned. I don't even know where the melody came from or the chord structure. As for the words, I just knew I wanted characters to unload their burdens on the song's main character in each verse. The main guy in my song starts by asking the first person he sees in Nazareth about a place to stay the night, a biblical concept. The chorus I came up with was take a load off Fanny, not Annie, as many people think. I'm not sure I had the Gotham owner in mind when I used Fanny, so Gotham is the bookshop where he picked up the film scripts. But her name was certainly buried back there in my imagination. Fanny just felt rhythmic. Take a load off and put it right on me. Also was pure Burnell. Once you lend a hand and assume someone else's burden, you're involved. Well, ain't that true? Carmen and the Devil walking side by side is from the Seventh Seal and the chess game with death. As the song's words came to me, I wrote them on my portable typewriter. I got used to typing lyrics from Bob Dylan. I never saw him write anything with a pen or pencil. That's because he's a hipster, the original. He'd make little corrections on his typed pages, but everything he wrote initially went through his typewriter. There was no magic to this process. It was just Bob knew how to type. He could have had an admin role in a different life, perhaps. He had taken typing. There you go. He had taken typing in school. Crazy Chester was based on someone I saw in, what is it with all these names? Fayetteville? Arkansas? Maybe through reading these, I discover that I am indeed... No, I'm not going to pursue that line of thought. When I was 16, there was this guy in a wheelchair who was kind of nuts. He'd roll into the town square, and when the girls went by, he'd call out, "Hoocha, baby, hoocha." It was like a tick. Chester was stuck in my head. Well, he would be, wouldn't he? The only major change I made in the entire song was the name of Chester's dog. Originally, I named the dog Hamlet, after bassist, that's Rick Danko's, dog at the Big Pink. I changed it to Jack because Hamlet didn't sing right. When the band got together to rehearse at the Big Pink in late 67, I had a basic chord structure and melody in the words. I taught them to everybody. At some point during rehearsals, I stumbled across Levon adjusting his drum heads and the sounds they made. I had him loosen the heads so that when he hit them, the sound would slide to another tonality. The only tricky part came at the end of each chorus, when I wanted the guys to sing, and you put the load right on me. The harmony parts took a few minutes for everyone to feel. We recorded The Wait in early 1968 at New York's A&R studios. We set up in a circle. We couldn't record in isolation booths with headphones. We needed to look at each other to lock in. Yeah, good on them. We were used to sitting around playing together in Big Pink's living room and basement and hearing everybody at once. Our engineer, Don Han, warned us we'd sound terrible in a circle, since our instruments and voices would bleed into each other's microphones. That's the technician versus the artist there. The producer, John Simon, asked if the studio had mics that would pick up only what was in front of them. Don suggested the Electro Voice RE15. Well, we are going into nerdery here, aren't we? It was a directional mic that wouldn't pick up anything around you. They put R15s on just about every instrument, and the result sounded really good. I decided to open the song with my Martin D28 playing Curtis Mayfield-like licks that the band before the band came in. But the Martin D28 can be a little boomy, so we moved my mic behind the guitar to give it an old nasally sound. Once I've finished, we've got a few more chapters. I'm going to look up the R15 microphones and see if they are still around. Maybe we could buy one. In the studio, my decision to have Rick Danko step forward to sing the crazy Chester verse came out of nowhere. It just seemed like a refreshing change to have a new character voice enter the narration. I sang it for Rick so he'd know what I was thinking, and he got it. At the end of the verse, Levon jumped back in with "Yeah" and sang the last verse, "Catch a Cannonball Now" to take me down the line, with Rick singing background on certain words, which picked things up to another level. We always wanted to have the song end abruptly and on an unexpected chord. It created suspense and felt fresh. In some ways, the ending was cinematic, like those movies that end in a freeze frame. You don't really see those anymore. The listener is forced to hear the final chord that isn't played. It's a bit like a major seventh chord. Not that that's what they used, but if you play one of those chords, you are left wanting the conclusion. You're wanting the tonic. Anyway, look, let's not go down any theory rabbit holes here. We always wanted to have the song, oh no, I've read that one. At the Woodstock Festival in August 1969, we performed on Sunday, the last full day at 10 p.m. Oh my God, it must have absolutely stank. I'd never seen anything like it. There were nearly 500,000 people out there in the dark, rooting and tooting. They wanted excitement. Our set was more subdued. How disappointing. When we played The Wait toward the end, you could feel a beautiful somber mood come over the place. Yes, that's called the drugs wearing off. It felt like we caused the audience to feel nostalgic for a period that they'd never actually experienced. He is right, there is a nostalgia to this song. I think it's got a lot to do with the tempo, obviously the lyrics. I've lost track of how many cover versions of this song there are, yes, but I'm sure you've enjoyed the many houses that you bought as a result. The funny thing is, nobody knows what the song is about. So why other artists would bother to record it has always mystified me. Well, because it's an awesome song. My favourite version was the one the Staple Singers recorded for Stax in '68, soon after music from Big Pink came out. The way their voices came together, it was like a train in the distance. Before we performed with the Staple Singers for the Last Waltz documentary in '76, Pops Staples asked me, "Robbie, what's this song actually about?" I said, "Pops, you know as well as I do." He looked at me and laughed and said, "Go down, Moses." As we performed, Pop sang by sliding to the notes on his guitar, and his daughter's voices slid right behind his. That was beautiful. It was like doing God's work, and maybe that's what motivated the song in the first place. Well, we've learnt some stuff there, haven't we? Enjoy the song, guys. If you listen to that, I mean, I can only applaud you. Have a great morning, day, evening, whatever you're doing. I will see you very soon.